Hi, so today I'm going to be reacting to top 20 awful American remakes of great British shows. Let's get straight into it. Play.
Hey guys, something a little bit different for you today, but during all this chaos, we want to give you as much entertainment as possible, and from as broad a range as we can offer. So here's a clip that was originally on WatchMojo UK that we think you'll love, and you know what, if you do, why not head over to that channel as well, and subscribe to us there, because we'd love to have you. Anyway, here's the list. Can you believe the US has tried this over 20 times and still not gotten the hint that it just doesn't work? Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 awful remakes of great British shows. For this list, we're looking at all the times the US attempted and failed to replicate the glory of the UK's top shows. While there have been some gems among the poop pile like The Office and Shameless, let this be your firm promise that no one does it quite like the Brits. Number 20, Red Dwarf.
He evolved from cancer just as your distant ancestors once swung from trees.
Ancestors? His grandparents swung from trees.
One of the greatest sci-fi series ever produced, let alone comedy series, Red Dwarf is British TV at its finest. The story of four very different men drifting in space, coming across all sorts of alien threats, combined some unforgettable gags with some genuinely heartfelt moments. The American remakes botched that balance. The only returning cast member was Robert Llewellyn as Crichton.
Must have made a wrong turn somewhere. You should have made a left at the last intersection, Crichton.
The rest were recast as Americans, the worst of which being Lister, who was just some traditionally handsome Hollywood-type bloke. That's not the bloody point of Lister.
This cat is quite clearly pregnant.
I think probably half the problem with Red Dwarf trying to do it in America would be the problem that happens with a lot of things like that, where the British version is very sterile and and actually as it evolved in the UK it got to be more like they brought more people in and it got more colourful. But the way it started off in the UK was kind of like, they called it like Men Behaving Badly in Space, which is a British TV series, Men Behaving Badly, where you literally just got Rimmer, Lister and the cat, and that was it. So it was all about being trapped in a spaceship and having people you didn't get on with as company. And it was a bleak, and everything was very grey, you know, so it was kind of like a bleak existence, wasn't it? And you try porting that over to an American sitcom, as soon as it gets into an American format, it's already, everybody's really smiley and happy and, isn't life crap, but isn't it good really, you know, sort of thing. So they're already on the back foot, I think. Anyway, let's play it. Resume.
He is? I thought it was all the beer I've been giving him.
Number 19, Ab Fab.
Honey, it hasn't come yet, and I'm jonesing like crazy for a cigarette.
Eddie, sweetie, no! You just had that laser peel around your lips.
You can always talk me down.
Right.
Yes, that is an abbreviation of Absolutely Fabulous, because apparently the original title just wasn't snappy enough. While the first attempt at this remake starred big names like Carrie Fisher and would have been produced by Roseanne Barr, that ultimately never saw its first day in production. Then there was the second attempt, which we have had the misfortune of actually viewing.
Could you spare $1 for a sandwich?
Ooh, that's not how I roll.
Exactly!
The remake actually had some pretty good actresses too in Kristen Johnston and Katherine Hahn, but they simply didn't have any chemistry whatsoever. Only 3 minutes of this episode have surfaced, and trust us, it's not worth it.
Denying me one harmless little glass of wine after how hard I work.
Work? You hardly work at all anymore.
Number 17, Trigger Happy TV.
I did not know they'd remade that for America. But did America originate Candid Camera, or was it the UK? I'm not sure. In the 60s or 70s. And it's kind of basically another hidden camera show, isn't it? So be interesting to see what they did with this.
Hello!
How's this for a kick of nostalgia? Many will remember this short outdoor prank show for Dom Jolly screaming on a giant Nokia phone. Just hearing that old ringtone will give people flashbacks to this day. But the rest of the show was actually damn good too, with Jolly taking on a variety of roles to prank the public.
Thank you for being quiet. This is a library. It's supposed to be quiet.
Unfortunately, when it hit stateside, Jolly wasn't the only cast member taking to the streets. 3 American comedians performed their skits and just didn't hold the same spirit as Dom.
I think Impractical Jokers, which is, I think that's still on now, isn't it? I'm not sure how long that's been going on for, but that's maybe been a more successful reimagining in America of Trigger Happy TV. It's a very similar premise, isn't it? Where they've got a group of friends pranking the public. I don't know how they keep going with that, because like everybody surely recognises the people now, don't they? I didn't watch much of that.
Who even expressed himself that he disliked the series. Number 15, Spaced.
Oh,
What are you doing in here?
There was a bird.
If you hear the phrase American version of Spaced, you probably instantly convulse. But no one hated the idea quite as much as the man behind the series himself, Edgar Wright. Wright was apparently opposed to the project the moment it was even suggested, but the production company went through with it without even telling him.
I'm thinking maybe like a unicorn, and a field of poppies and some sparkles.
She's got a lot of opinions.
What's worse, they actually still credited him and Simon Pegg as working on the series. At the end of the day, American characters reenacting scenes from American movies just didn't have the same humour as when down-and-out British characters do it, and the show never survived.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a problem. They're trying to... Yeah, because in the original, you've got a lot of cutaways or homages to, and a lot of it is American films, isn't it? And maybe it's to do with that contrast, you know, that maybe helped it work. Whereas Americans referencing American films, yeah, maybe that has something to do with why it didn't work.
Ow.
No, you don't want this. You don't want. What if I take his little friend here and I just do that?
Number 14, Men Behaving Badly.
Men Behaving Badly.
However, can we in all fairness compare driving a car to making love to a woman?
What kind of car?
While not the worst remake America has to offer, it was unfortunately unable to get over with the
Rob
American
Snyder.
audience. The original of this series starred British staples Martin Clunes and Harry Enfield, and was constantly pushing the extent of political incorrectness on television.
Justine
This was
Bateman,
met
is
with
that? Oh, that's
adoration from the
Skylar out
British
of Breaking
public,
Bad.
but when the Americans tried this in a similar vein, audiences were appalled.
I mean, you don't want some strange guy in your apartment poking through your underwear drawer.
The family-friendly nature of more popular
remember her
shows
name.
wasn't present here, and with Rob Schneider, yep, that Rob Schneider, taking the main role in the height of his fame, not even that could
very
save the
realistic
series
background.
from cancellation. Number 13.
Of course, going back to Men Behaving Badly, the first series of Men Behaving Badly in the UK wasn't Martin Clunes and Neil Morrissey, it was Martin Clunes and Harry Enfield. And it was okay, but Harry Enfield came from a background of doing sketch comedy and just wheeling out comedy characters. So you put him in a sitcom, even though it's a comedy, and they're kind of supposed to be acting relatively natural, and he stood out like a sore thumb. I mean, the writing was good. It was really good, the first series of Men Behaving Badly, but Harry Enfield really his acting stood out. It was a bit wooden, and I think he's got better since with other things he's done, because he's branched out from sketch comedy and what he started off doing, Spitting Image, Saturday Night Live and things like that. But yeah, that was what. And then Neil Morrissey took over because I think, was it Harry Enfield didn't want to do the second series because he recognised he wasn't very good at it. And Neil Morrissey took over, and then it just flew. But then ITV, which the channel that was on, didn't show enough interest in, giving it a good chance in the schedules. and the production company walked away, and then the BBC got it, and then it really took off. So it had a bit of a dodgy start in the UK.
And them.
Jeez Louise, I can't believe we're finally gonna meet in person.
You might see this title and think,
them.
what the bloody hell is us and them? Well, sadly, this was what happened when the US tried to adapt the comfy tale of every folk, Gavin and Stacey. But you can't exactly recreate a love story between a couple from Wales and England, respectively, so...
I've got to be honest, I've watched a little bit of Gavin and Stacey, but I'm one of the... Maybe I'm in the minority that I'm not a fan of it, and it's probably to do with the fact that I don't like James Corden.
So they just ditched that entire part.
There she is. All right, I guess inbreeding does work out sometimes.
Funnily enough, the two main characters still kept the names of Gavin and Stacey, which really begs the question as to why the hell they went with this bland-ass title in the first place if they were just leeching off the success of their British counterparts. Who knows?
Yeah, is it good?
Oh, no. Actually, that is the most disgusting thing I've ever had in my mouth.
Number 12, Cracker. Okay, so you've gotten the idea so far that British comedy just doesn't translate well into the American formats. But what about some Hard Knocks drama? Well, that's hardly better too, sadly.
I was nothing to you, but now you know me. Now I'm inside you.
The tale of a Glaswegian criminal psychologist solving crimes in Manchester was stripped of its setting and lead, turning it into pretty much your standard American crime drama fare that you could find on any other channel.
Let's start telling the truth. You will not find
he died, didn't he? The guy playing the American Cracker. He had drug and or alcohol problems.
This one is proof that you just can't replicate the badass that is Robbie Coltrane. Number 11, Peep Show. When you think of cringe-based British comedies, chances are your mind immediately jumps to David Mitchell and Robert Webb's classic series, Peep Show. But sadly, when Americans got their hands on it, it became an entirely different kind of cringe. The bad kind. This pilot episode, which was produced by 20th Century Fox, is downright painful to watch and proves that whoever wrote it never truly grasped the concept of what Peep Show was all about. Thank God Superhands got out unscathed. Number 10, Life on Mars.
No way.
Okay, I've got a few thoughts about this, right? I don't know what he's going to say, this guy, because I've not seen this video before, but Life on Mars. So I watched the pilot episode, I think, of that on YouTube, and it was originally going to be Cole Meany, as that's the guy's name, isn't it, from Star Trek, playing the Gene Hunt character. And I remember watching the pilot, and it was pretty good, and I think they did a fairly decent job. And then the execs, I think, they watched it and they said that the person playing the Gene Hunt character wasn't a big enough name. They needed a bigger name to try and, make it successful. So they insisted the pilot be reshot, but with Harvey Keitel. And Harvey Keitel at the time, I think, was in his 70s. So I think you've got and he's a little guy. So you've got this opening scene where the Sam Tyler character walks into the police station. He punches him it punches Sam Tyler in the stomach, Harvey Keitel's character, and he's supposed to be this tough guy, but he's kind of these diminutive little old man basically, and sorry if I said basically quite a lot, and it just didn't work. From what I saw, it looked like a huge mistake. And of course it sank it. It only ran for one season, and then they had to wrap it up in a really bizarre way where they all woke up on a spaceship and it all turned out to be a dream. So yeah, let's see what they say about it.
Initially, Life on Mars looked to be making a name for itself on American shores. It was a respectable nod to the BBC classic, remade with energy and passion, and featured great acting, production values, and music. And then that ending happened. Seriously, what on Mars was that about?
I don't think it's the ending that was the problem
original
necessarily.
had the amazing and bittersweet ending of Sam killing himself to return to 1973,
which was
this
great.
one featured Sam and the group as astronauts on the first manned mission to Mars.
Look, it's a bit like, if they knew the series was ending when they did that, then I think they probably just thought, you know, screw it. It's Michael Imperioli. I forgot he was in it. There he is. Yeah, I got the feeling they ended it that way because they thought it was sunk, and let's just end it badly because we're not going to come back to it. It was a bit like the end of when they brought back Crossroads in the was it in the early noughties, and that, when it came back, if you're an American viewer and you don't know what Crossroads is, it was a British soap opera that ran from the 1960s to the 1980s, and then yeah, look it up. But when they brought it back, it already had a bit of a what's the word? It had a cloud over it. It had a bad reputation for being a bit naff, and they tried to bring it back and revive it with some of the original cast. I'm going to digress too much if I talk too much about it, but when they ended it with it was all a dream, basically, and the main character, who was the hotel manageress, I think, had been daydreaming on the checkout in a supermarket and had daydreamed the whole series. And that was kind of like it just seemed to me like their way of writing it off, you know. Let's just end it and say it was all a dream. So that kind of feels like the same thing they did with the American Life on Mars. Like they kind of knew, well, they were finishing it, so they knew it wasn't coming back for another season. So it wasn't the end. I don't agree with the narrator. I don't think the ending was what sank it. Harvey Keitel sank it, or not his fault. They should not have cast him as Gene Hunt. That was the problem.
And the 1973 scenes were just a simulation. It was absolutely insulting and tarnished the name of the fantastic original.
St. Christopher medals seemed to work, huh?
I guess they did.
Number 9. Oh no, not them.
I don't know what this is.
That atrocious title is really all you need to know about this abomination.
Oh, The Young Ones.
This series was set to be a remake of The Young Ones, a classic 80s sitcom that was renowned for its subversive humour. 6 years after its ending, Fox attempted to Americanize it with terrible results.
Oh! You mean the one with the enormous tits?
Nigel Planer, one of the original actors...
Planer, not Planner. It's got one N. Yeah, it's never going to work though, is it? You can see what's going to happen here.
Was set to star in the remake, but he had an awful time in America and didn't get along well with his co-stars, which made for a troubling production.
Oh no!
The pilot was apparently awful enough that Fox scrapped the series before it could air, leaving the unseen episode a thing of legend. Number 6, Pain.
All right, look, I need you to run upstairs.
There was quite a few remakes of Fawlty Towers from what I can gather. One of them, they thought it'd be a great idea to replace Basil Fawlty, well, not replace Basil Fawlty, but supplant him with a female hotel manager played by Bea Arthur out of the Golden Girls, although I don't think she'd been in the Golden Girls by then. She'd probably been in Maud. But you'd think that'd be a good bit of casting, actually, because she had a brilliant sort of cynical personality, didn't she, Bea Arthur, and was really good at that dry sort of humour. But she's also very kind of likeable, and the Basil's Fawlty character isn't supposed to be likeable. You know, you're laughing at him, whereas I think with most stuff Bea Arthur's in, you're kind of laughing with her, aren't you? That could be where they went wrong with that one. But this is another remake. I think I remember this coming out. It got shown in the UK, I think, Pain.
Rule 1 of adapting British shows: do not, and we mean do not, touch Fawlty Towers. Unfortunately, no one was there to enforce this rule in 1999, so CBS went and touched Fawlty Towers inappropriately and made it into Pain. While it had the same basic premise as the John Cleese classic, it made 2 notable changes, those being a shift in location from Devon to California and a notable absence of jokes.
We're not going to set it in Devon if it's American, are you? That's a strange thing to say.
While it was endorsed by Cleese himself, he was in the minority, which meant the show was canned after 8 episodes, leading one filmed episode to remain untransmitted.
Get over it.
Number 5, Doctor...
It's a bit like Basil the Rat, isn't it? Because that was from the English one. That was due to a strike or something. UK viewers had to wait something like 6 months or maybe a year for the last episode. Okay, here we go. Doctor
Who?
I have some thoughts about this.
Before the 2005 revival...
So I bought the... When this was gonna be on in the UK, so I was a bit of a Doctor Who fan, and it ended. I was fairly sad when it ended in 1989, and then in 1996, it was brought back, but as an American TV pilot, and which doomed it really, because that meant it wasn't guaranteed a series, and most people didn't know what to make of it in America, I guess, because it was quite niche. But there was a lot I liked about it. I thought the pilot. Anyway, let's have a look.
That brought Doctor Who back to the public's consciousness and hearts. There was this made-for-TV movie, which was supposed to be hugely successful and launch an American version of the show. It wasn't, and it didn't. Broadcast on Fox, this movie served as a continuation of the story, with the 7th Doctor, Sylvester McCoy, passing the baton to Paul McGann. Although it was well received in the UK, it was a ratings disappointment in America, and the hopes of a new American version of Doctor Who were quickly squashed.
I have wasted all my lives because of you, Doctor. And I will be rid of you.
IT crowd.
We go in there, I make up a load of crap about computers, we see if she picks up on it. Go on.
Similar to the Big Bang Theory, only arguably actually funny, the IT crowd is a shining beacon in nerd culture and follows a pair of nerds in a fictional company's IT department. Due to its success in the UK, NBC ordered an American remake, but like most of their remake attempts, it was a spectacular failure. A pilot was filmed and numerous scripts were written, with Richard Ayoade returning as Moss and Joel McHale portraying Roy. However, even NBC knew that they had a dud on their hands after watching the pilot and promptly ordered the series cancelled before it even began.
I mean, they have no respect for us up there. No respect whatsoever.
Number 2, The In-Betweeners.
And it comes back to that kind of the bleakness that you can get away with in some British sitcoms, I think, just doesn't translate if you try and do it in an American sitcom. Or they have to do something that compromises the style of it.
The In-Betweeners was an Insta classic that perfectly captured the feelings of adolescence, with eerily realistic dialogue throughout. The remake, meanwhile, was made for MTV. That tells you all you need to know. It was typical teenage fare, despite a talented writer and showrunner in Brad Copeland of Arrested Development fame. It was quickly panned for being cliché, nothing at all like the original, and for just generally being awful. MTV ultimately cancelled the series after 12 episodes due to its low ratings in 2012.
Ugh, would have helped, but I don't think it would have gotten a laugh.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Skins.
Do it now, Stanley.
I'm here to admit I never watched Skins either. I think I'm a bit too old. Even when it first started, I'm a bit too old to appreciate it.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Watch Mojo.
Okay, that's the end of that then. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you again another time.